I have a very interesting story to tell. I love tech. And my love for tech comes from passion. It comes from the fact that I always had the urge to understand how things worked. I was a little guy that would break open a remote control of the TV to figure out how it works and then put it back together to make sure it still works after I broke it open. I was the guy that would open up a TV to try and understand why I was pushing this button and it wasn't working. And it's all because of my curiosity. Education never helped. I grew up basically learning everything I know about tech all by myself. It got to a point where there was even a lot of pressure from family because I wanted to pursue a career in tech. That never happened because there isn't a lot of information out there about why tech is important. I am who I am in tech because I taught myself. I was curious. I went out to research. There isn't a lot of modules in schools these days, even back then, even today. There isn't a lot of modules in there to, especially at the basic level, to empower young people to take tech seriously. Today, we are dissecting how tech is vital to education and why it should be taken seriously. My name is Tia. Welcome to Enabled by Tech. I'm here with my co-host,
Bernard.
How you doing, my brother?
I'm good, bro. Yourself?
I'm great. You know, I decided to go all.
I like this.
Yeah.
Bit.
My dad got me this. I went home and he was like, "Oh, I have a smoke first." Like, "Oh yeah, where is it?" You know, yeah. So I came in my smoke.
Yeah. And you did a great job choosing it for this episode.
Yeah, representing.
Yeah.
Today is a very exciting episode. We're talking about education, very, very important to me because, and when it comes to tech, it's even more important.
Yeah.
Because I started going to computer school when I was in I think primary 6 or JSS 1 or something like that. All the way back in Tamale. I grew up in Tamale.
Okay.
Right? And I remember back then it was Technonet Ghana Limited. And I remember very well, the reason why I even started going to computer school was I went to my uncle's house and his TV wasn't working and I opened the TV and I repaired it. So my uncle called my mom and said, if you don't take this guy to go learn exactly what he's doing, he would end up costing you a lot because you go and mess someone's machine up and then you have to pay a huge amount of money to fix it. So then I was taken to computer school. And this is where it got very interesting because at that time I was exposed to tech for about 3 years. Mm-hmm. And then by JSS 1, when I started the computer school, within 1 week, I started teaching at the computer school. Oh. So I'll close from JSS, go teach introduction to computer. I was doing introduction to Office. I taught Corel Draw and all of that at JSS 1 because I was curious and there was nothing in the actual curriculum to teach people how to do this. So today we have a very, very, very special guest joining us. He is Professor E.K. Awuni, an associate prof from the University of Ghana in computer science. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
First of all, when I grew up, I want to be like you.
You know, it's quite exciting to hear how you started, especially that you had to take a lot of modules by yourself to get to this stage.
Yes. I have so many stories. I would share some of them as the conversation goes on.
Yeah.
But tell us how tech started for you. You are now teaching people at the highest level, computer science.
Yes.
Tell us how it started for you. Is your story very close to mine? Did you have to self-teach and learn some of these things by yourself?
Okay. That's a very good question. In fact, when you were giving your story, I said, no, I have to share mine.
Yes.
You know, I have a background in engineering. So basically, After school, I went to do my national service in the certain school.
Okay.
So that was the same period the government started with ICT in the various senior high schools. I was just a teacher, like in the national service.
Right.
So at the point, the government wanted a rep from every institution to go for training to become an ICT coordinator.
Okay.
So I remember clearly that at the time, there was this guy who was a technician in the school. So I was using Pentium 1 machine. In fact, it was even difficult for me to operate that machine. So I invited this guy. I had a problem, so I invited this guy. He came and then did one or two things, and then the machine was working. It took huge amount of money from me.
Wow.
Yes. So along the line, the school then appointed me to represent the school as the coordinator. So we came for a training here in Accra. And then during the training, I noticed that I was far ahead of all my peers, those I went with.
Right.
And I said, no, I will go into IT. So that's where it started. So I just decided to, like I said, I have engineering background. So I decided to now apply to go and do computer science. So I did computer science, and I finished my bachelor's degree. Luckily, I was the overall best student for the computer science program, which, of course, in first class. So it was after, with first class, I applied for a school in Finland. In fact, I first got admission to this school, Coventry University in the UK.
Okay.
And because of my first class, they gave me 20% waiver. And with this 20% waiver, if you look at the amount of money I was going to pay for the tuition, it's even, I don't know how to put it. It was still huge.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine sent a link to me to apply to a school in Finland. He told me that admission in Finland, like schools in Finland, is free. So I applied to one university called University of Turku. One day I was there, I got a letter from the university, and they are telling me that they are not giving me admission because I don't have this language proficiency, this English proficiency and all that. I said, fine. So because in Finland, they use central admission system. Because I applied to one school, they then sent me an email that another university has open admission. So if I'm interested, I should apply.
Right.
So I applied. So when I applied, that's University of Eastern Finland. So when I applied, I got admission. And luckily, I got admission with scholarship. Because they took only 25 students, and then they gave only 6 students scholarship, and I was part of the 6 students. So I said, and you see, they were going to provide tuition, and also I'll pay nothing for tuition fee.
Nice.
So what I have to do is to sign agreement that I'm not going to work. When Ghanaians travel outside, they always want to combine work. Yes. So I said, oh, that's fine. So I went. I took the opportunity. Then I went for my master's degree. So master's, I was the last person to report, but the first person to graduate. And I graduated with distinction as well.
Nice.
That's impressive.
The university, saw that I had what it takes to do research. So they then gave me admission to stay back as a PhD student. So at the time, it was a salaried position.
Okay.
It wasn't like a grant. I was just working for the university, lecturing and supervising student theses. So I went through the PhD. When I finished, they gave me 1 year postdoc. So I was in the postdoc period when University of Ghana sent me an email that if I'm interested to come back to Ghana, they are willing to give me a position. In fact, at first it was the University of Ghana Computer Science. It took like 3 months to decide whether I want to come back to Ghana or not. Right. Because I was teaching, I was earning good money. Yeah, but I had an agenda. My plan was to come and establish a company. At the same time, collaborate internationally. So this goal actually motivated me to take the offer. So I took the University of Ghana offer. So when I came, I went to the computer science department. And luckily, the same period, business school also contacted me. I didn't know anyone. They just because I have a lot of publication, a lot of works out there. And my area of research is AI. I do AI machine learning. So I'm an expert in AI machine learning. Right. In fact, I can say that I'm even the first associate professor of data science analytics at the University of Ghana.
Nice.
So my area was specialized. My PhD, I did something on building an algorithm to track human emotions, leveraging on this natural language processing and machine learning techniques and all that. Yeah. So the computer science needed me. In the business school, they wanted to set up AI or data science, hub within the business school. So I compared the two, and I said, okay, computer science, that's my roots. Then if you look at a business school, they do more of applied.
Yeah.
And then they didn't have, people with that background. So I decided to take the offer to go to the business school.
Right.
So sometimes when I tell people that I'm in a business school, they ask, computer science there, business school there now,
Yeah.
But things have changed. That's the trajectory, or they say
That's
how the path's been.
That's a very incredible journey.
At Sumundi Dev Shop, we build custom software tailored to your needs, scalable, efficient, and designed for growth. Whether you need enterprise applications, management systems, or integrations with third-party platforms, we deliver solutions that work seamlessly. We also specialize in legacy software repairs, performance optimizations, and code-based improvements. Whether it's a simple website or a robust enterprise solution, we are your trusted technology partner. Let's build something great together. Contact us on our website at www.simundidevshop.com.
Yeah.
Probably like one of the best tech stories I've heard from like Ghanaians, and congratulations on everything you've achieved so far. And let's get straight into it.
Okay.
With everything that you've achieved now, and the perspective you've had from studying abroad, and you're back here and you're teaching, you're imparting all the knowledge and experiences you've had, where are we with our educational system and technology generally?
Okay, so let me start from here. In Ghana, at some point, there were some people that would say, MBA, so for me, I don't want to have anything to do with technology. But globally, things have advanced.
Right.
And now we are in the era of generative AI, which of course is emanated from what we call natural language processing.
Okay.
And globally, every country is leveraging these technologies to do a lot of things. If you look at ChatGPT and all that.
Yeah.
So now, if you look at the space, especially within our context, AI emanated way back in 1940. Elsewhere, it was being studied. Now, like I said, that is the fulcrum, or the point, the level we have gotten to. But in our context here, I think that it's been slow in terms of leveraging these technology. In fact, I can say that we don't even have a strategy and a policy on how AI is being used in Ghana. So technically, I would say that AI has come to stay, which is the fulcrum, but we are moving so slowly. Like as I made mention that, arguably, I'm the first associate professor in data science and analytics. So you can imagine. Elsewhere, like I said, AI started way back. 1940. I can give the evolution, but I don't think maybe it's part of this. But way back, so we are moving, but it's so slow. But nowadays, I think I've had the opportunity to go to about 5 different universities, and I noticed that they are enhancing or they are advancing the area of AI. Recently, I did GTech work for. GTech actually sent me to go and do evaluation for them at UPSA. So UPSA has also, mounted, or let's say they're about to mount a program in data science and analytics,
Right.
which I think that's the right direction. So universities are now beginning to realize that nowadays you can't do away with information technology.
Yeah.
So they are all coming up. So I would say, even though we are in it, but it's moving so slow.
Yeah. And
But,
Prof,
okay.
Prof, you mentioned that looking at where we are with technology right now, we are a bit far off.
Yeah. Of course.
In your in your experience, with how your journey has been, where do you think, as it stands now, what do you think we can implement in our systems to get us better equipped, to get us, close to the
developed economies.
Yeah.
You see, there's a lot of factors, and one of them has to do with, in fact, the key factor has to do with funding.
Okay.
Elsewhere, in fact, the universities are there, but there is, they have these foundations. The government is also committing resources to the university education. So in our context here, even for us to get grants or to apply for funding to do anything, to set up a center, we need to apply to EU or those, EU, US, and several other institutions, just so we can get funding to do certain things here in Ghana. But our own government, we do not have that kind of funding component to fund the investees to advance these areas. Let me give this example. You see, I'm currently the coordinator for the business analytics at the University of Ghana. It's a program.
Yeah.
Business analytics is a practically oriented program at master's level. So the expectation is that we should have a model lab to run this. So now the question is funding.
Yeah.
So elsewhere, the government would have come in and then pushing some resources, for this kind of program to set up a model lab and then move. But in our context, it's not like that. So we have to be moving to offices just to see if we can get funding to develop this model lab. So, like I said, the issue has to do with funding. The key issue has to do with funding. But there are other factors anyway. And then also the will. But now things are changing a little bit. Previously, people would say that if I even go and do computer science, I mean, at the end of the day, what would I do with it? Because I can decide to go and do accounting and then take some modules and become an IT person. So you see that the motivation also from us is also another thing.
Another thing.
Yeah.
And
just for the sake of scale, what is the estimated cost of the module lab?
Wow. For that, I cannot put a number, but currently we are looking at probably securing about 50 computers. I mean, just because we don't take many students for the program. So for a start, 50 computers with a smart board, and then some software. I think where probably we spend more has to do with the software. There's a lot of software that we need license to use. So like I said, I cannot put a number at the moment, but well, yeah.
Yeah, so Prof, looking at how the system has been, I and Tia share similar experiences.
Yeah.
We sort of self-taught ourselves technology. We tore our computers apart. We built our own first system units and things like that. How do you see technology helping the teaching experience and the learning experience? Because there's definitely that gap that people passionate like ourselves have had to go out there and learn for ourselves. Okay. But where do you think technology can come in the teaching process and the learning process to aid people like us get better and get more knowledgeable in such field?
Yeah, okay, so let me start from here. Whenever I'm teaching, I tell students that technology has come to stay. Even if you start a business today and you don't leverage on technology, the business will collapse. Yeah. So what it means is that businesses are leveraging on technology to be more competitive within the business ecosystem. And the people that they employ, the employees, they expect them to have some kind of knowledge within the technological space.
True.
And you know that companies wouldn't want their employees to spend huge amount of money to train employees just so the employees will leave to go and study. So employees are taking up programs like master's degree programs, but those master's degree programs they are taking, the expectation is that they will find a way to do the program at the same time working. So what it means is that we need technology to be able to bridge that gap. Before COVID, at the University of Ghana, everything was face-to-face.
Yeah.
You are working, you are taking up a master's degree program, you must come on face-to-face to study. And it was creating a lot of problems. So after COVID, or let's say within the period of COVID, the universities realized that, wow, we can leverage on technology. That's where Zoom and others came.
Yeah.
We can leverage on technology to, blend the kind of teaching that we're experiencing. So, University of Ghana, for instance, after COVID, or well, I don't know whether COVID is still there,
post-COVID, yes.
Post-COVID era, we realized that technology helped during the COVID period.
The pandemic,
so we decided to maintain that and said, okay, let us make our teaching blended. So if you come to University of Ghana, for instance, University of Ghana Business School, we have about 60% online and then 40% on-site. We want to give them that on-site experience still. Yes. So now people can work and take, courses with the University of Ghana. And now, let me now explain how technology can aid in this. One, as an employee of an organization taking up a program at the University of Ghana, you have the opportunity to be at home or even to be at work and take up a program at the University of Ghana. So you don't have to come there. Like I said, even some of the programs, it is even purely online.
Okay.
So we have Zoom that provides the platform to learn. There are other technological tools, even using Google, and nowadays we have ChatGPT. I'll talk about ChatGPT later, because even though it gives an opportunity, but of course there are some issues with it as well. So technology has provided that platform, and technology somehow has also provided, or enhanced collaboration among students. So you have students from different sectors taking up a program at the University of Ghana. So with technology, they're able to do group studies, collaborate, they have this kind of collaboration in terms of doing assignments and so on and so forth. And you see, this technology somehow has also brought about an opportunity for people with disability.
Okay.
Previously, there are people who could not even walk to the physical space to have class.
Yeah.
Now with technology, I can sit somewhere, I can sit anywhere and take up a program. So people with disability, they've also gotten the opportunity to educate themselves through technology. And also note that advances in technology has also provided an opportunity to have people, like you have people with disability to be able to study. Let's take for instance, there are people who cannot, hear properly.
Yeah.
So with technology, we have tools that allows or that gives them the opportunity to, of course, hear properly if maybe the lecture is even it's online.
And when you mentioned the disability, I realized there might be other challenges as to people who want to start learning electronically, this e-learning. And you mentioned the hybrid learning that UG has adopted.
Exactly.
Yes. I wanted to find out, some challenge can be time, right? And some people might pick an online class and might not always be available to hop on a Zoom call live. We've heard of other platforms like Coursera where they have recorded tuition. How do you see our current educational system or even UG adopting such systems?
Yeah, so even with the Zoom, personally, when I give lecture using Zoom, I record it.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, I give it to student, and student will now play later on, just so they can be able to cope with the course, or maybe probably get some knowledge from that. And then you also made mention of Coursera. If you come to the University of Ghana, we have learning management platforms.
Okay.
So with the learning management platforms, if I'm taking a course, I put all courses there. All the materials are there. Student can go there, take the materials at any time, any point in time. And so, you made mention of Coursera. Currently, at the University of Ghana Business School, we are even building similar platform. Where students, in fact, the goal is not only for university students, we are also targeting even students from high schools. A situation whereby a student from high school can take a course, which is what we call asynchronous, not synchronous. So asynchronous means that you can, at any point in time, you can just go there and learn. At the end of the day, you are issued a certificate.
I see.
So we are building this kind of system, which, of course, at the end of the day, we deploy, and we hope that students will take courses there. And there are numerous courses with regard, if you want to look at it globally, with regards to technology, YouTube, you can take courses from YouTube, Coursera, and all that. So I think that, like I said earlier, we are there, but we are moving slowly. And I'm sure that we'll definitely get there.
We'll definitely get there.
Yes.
Let's get into AI and how it's being added to a lot of educational tools these days. And there are so many platforms that are adding modules that would help people learn. I discovered one the other day called Notebook LM from Google, where you can take an entire video or an entire PDF, however long it is, put it into the system. It turns it into a podcast of maybe the video is an hour long. You get like a 17 or 15 minute podcast of 2 AI voices having a human-like conversation, which is very distinctive. You get a lot of pauses and ahs and stuff like that, and it's creepy. What's your take on the state of AI learning tools these days? and you wanted to talk about ChatGPT as well.
Yeah. Well, normally when I'm asked a question about AI, I always want to start or give the historical background.
Yeah.
Well, so let me start with this. You see, earlier I made mention that AI, some of us, think that AI started just last 2 years or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
AI started way back in 1940. So it was at the time spearheaded by Alan Turing, who built the Turing machine. The whole idea of AI was to mimic human intelligence for machines, so that what humans can do, machines can do. So at the time, the level of knowledge wasn't too high. So what they could do was to come out with a hardware kind of robots, which was hard-coded. If I say hard-coded, it means that you write an instruction for the AI, then it will obey the instruction axis. So if you say AI go 100 meters and 10 left, it will go 100 meters and 10 left. But fast forward to 1970, that is where researchers realized that we can give data to the machine so that the machine can learn from the data and make its own decision.
Yeah.
So for instance, if I take a robot with a hard core kind of robot, because it was hard coded, if I can say that, okay, 10 p.m., whoever comes to my house, shoot to kill that person. 10 p.m., whoever comes, the robot will shoot to kill that person. But in the 1970 era, where we say, let's give data to the machine, this time you are giving data to the machine will learn from the data. So I can give data of features about my mother to the machine. So when it is after 10 p.m. and my mother is coming, the machine will not shoot to kill, meaning that level of intelligence or common sense advanced.
Improved. Yeah.
And that's the era we had, what we call machine learning. So machine learning means that you are giving data to the machine to learn
from.
So fast forward now, that was 2010, where the deep learning, I don't know whether you've heard of deep learning.
Yeah.
So deep learning era also evolved. Deep learning was just one of the algorithms in machine learning. We call it artificial neural network.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of research was done around it, and it mimics human intelligence that gave birth to this deep learning. So this ChatGPT and all those technologies that you see today is as a result of the deep learning technology. So at the moment, especially in our context, because we've realized that a lot of people have realized that artificial intelligence is able to do a lot of things, especially within the educational arena, where people feel like, okay, I've been given a task to do. This task may take a lot of effort to do.
Yeah.
And there are tools there. Google is there and people are exploring. So why don't I use a certain tool and give the task to the tool so that the tool will do the task for me? Then I'll go and present it and get my marks. So somehow I can assure you that a lot of Ghanaians have come to realize that there are tools like that can help them to make things, their work and things easily. But to me, the direction we are going is dangerous. So we are more or less users of the technology rather than also learning to create it. And there should be a guideline, a pathway of using it. In fact, I've been supervising student theses, and sometimes a student will send his work, and the moment you just open, you know that everything is ChatGPT. You ask the person, ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So, and for me, I'm able to detect if you have used ChatGPT. There are some keywords that it uses.
Yeah.
It's easy. And then ChatGPT, sometimes when you look at the references it will give you, and you look at the content, mostly it's out of scope. Of course, the technology has come to stay, but it is still being developed. They are still refining the.
So it's not perfect.
Still learning.
It's not
Still
exactly.
learning. Yeah.
So people are using ChatGPT, so we are abusing the use. I don't blame people much because the technology has come to stay, and then as a nation, we haven't actually dealt with how the technology should be used. Because recently I was part of a stakeholder engagement at the AU level where we're developing a strategy for Africa, the continent. And now AU is now developing a strategy. So it was just a stakeholder engagement. What it means that it has not been approved, even for other countries to adopt. So we don't have a strategy for it. We have not designed or developed guidelines. The same applies to the universities. You come to the University of Ghana, we don't have a strategy yet for artificial intelligence. So people are just using it. And, personally as a lecturer, I find it difficult to give assignment to students Because if I give assignment to you, you use ChatGPT
to get to
and it
that.
can do a lot of things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what is the point? If I give you assignment and use ChatGPT to do and submit.
So, Doc.
So yes.
Yeah. You keep. It's very obvious that this generation is over dependent on AI, and instead of helping them improve their process in solving problems, they rather the AI solve the entire problem for them. So, you've mentioned strategies and guidelines and everything, and with how the journey has been for you, with all that what strategies would you suggest would help safeguard these measures?
Well, like I said, of course, at a national level, we need to develop a strategy. But what I would say is that the strategy somehow focuses on how it should be used, because you can't stop people from using it. Let me give one example. In fact, personally, I even use ChatGPT.
Yeah, we all do.
Yes, but there should be a way. How, in fact, if you are writing, let's say, you've been given a task to do, or you are writing a letter and you feel like you need this kind of AI to help you, don't go and give it to the AI and allow the AI to do it for you. Sit down, write it yourself. Put your thought on paper. So after everything, you can now ask AI to help you
to modify.
It can check the language and everything for you. So to me, I feel like we should use the AI in a way that it will improve our flow, but not to just give everything to AI to do it for you. And if you look at student thesis, you see the whole idea of taking up a project work or thesis is to build your ability to be able to reason independently and also write some kind of report wherever you find yourself. Because it's more or less like, systematic process, and there's a methodology you adapt in doing so. So if I have to go and give everything to the AI and it does everything for me, I don't even understand what I've done. It's a problem. So for, the question you asked, like I said, we should rather be gearing towards using it to streamline, or let's say improve our writings, rather than allowing it to do everything for us. This era of AI is like 2005 when Google came. So at the time, there was a lot of tension, a lot of pressure, and a lot of worry. The universities were worried about what Google
could do.
was going to do. So, but eventually, you and I know how we use Google now. You don't just take anything anyhow. So I think that yes, technology, AI has come, and nowadays it has been evolved to the level that it is making people do things for people. We can somehow strategize it, find a way how we can use it, just like we dealt with Google. Yes. So with a strategy, I wouldn't be able to, apart from what I've said, it requires some kind of a stakeholder engagement, analysis and all that before you can come up with this kind of strategy.
There's a story I saw the other day. A mom in the US was suing her son's, I think it was high school, because she was expelled simply because she was given an assignment and then she used AI. And then after she was, the whole suit was, after she was expelled, the school now put an AI policy in the school book. And her defense was,
it happened before.
Yes, you expelled her before putting that
any
rule
guideline
in the book. So you still don't have the basis to expel her. So to what extent are we open to allowing our students utilize AI, and what level of penalization are we open to applying to these defaults that because it's a bit tricky.
Very.
Because basically a lot of people now just use, for instance, ChatGPT as their search engine. And that is a misuse of the if you ask me. They're basically using it as a search engine. It's not a search engine. So what's the extent educators are willing to go?
Okay, you see, I actually explained that even at the national level, there's no policy, there's no strategy. The same way at the university level.
Yeah.
There's no policy, there's no strategy on how AI should be used. However, at the individual level as a lecturer, if you use AI to do something and I see that this AI, what I can do is to advise and guide. I can even choose not to approve because you have used AI. Because we are dealing with it at the individual level. Because we don't have institutional policy or even a national policy on how these can be used. That if you use it and you have found this is what is going to happen. No. So we are dealing with it at the individual level, like I said. However, as a student, we should also know that taking up, let's say, an assignment or a long essay or a project, the idea is for you to learn whilst doing it. So we should be guided by moral and ethics. Let me use the word ethics. So, well, I'm in school. What am I there for? To acquire knowledge. Yeah. Now the school is saying that go through this rigorous process and come out with this material. Then I go and give the whole work to ChatGPT to do for me. It's not good. So we should be guided by ethics at the student level. So if you are guided by ethics, of course, you go through the rigorous process, come out with the material, which will be good. You yourself, when you finish, you know that you have learned. Yes. So at the moment, if a student uses a ChatGPT to do something, assignment, whatever, there's no policy, there's no punishment anywhere. I can't do anything. As a lecturer, what I can do is that you have used AI to do this, and I'm not going to accept. So you have to go back and do this and that and that. So, like I said, yesterday we had some stakeholder engagement at the university level, and I even brought this up. That it's high time we come out with this policy. Elsewhere, in fact, my former university in Finland, they have a policy for AI. And the the Turnitin that you have to run your thesis and documentations through has the AI embedded in it. So if you use ChatGPT to do it and I run it through, it will detect it. Well, I understand. I think at some point the university said they have enhanced the Turnitin software. I haven't really checked. But if it is enhanced, it means that it has that AI bit in it. That if you use AI to do the work,
it can detect.
So what I can do is that if the similarity index is more than the acceptable threshold, which is 20, then your thesis will not go through. So like I said, we deal with it at the individual level.
With your knowledge in the field,
yes,
especially with everything happens in the back end.
Yeah.
Has there been any AI that has come out that scared you, or that worried you about its capabilities or potential usage?
Well, should I say worry? But I always say that even though AI has evolved and it's been advanced, doing a lot of wonderful things, somehow people will lose their jobs because of the ability and the capability that AI can do. At some point, the way I'm seeing things, you go to the bank, you will not even meet anyone there. You go and meet a robot and be dealing with the robot. People will lose their job. But even though people are losing their job, this AI is also creating opportunity for others. So we just have to somehow, position ourselves well, so that if this part goes off, I can still get job at this part. But we talk about the what do you call it, the maybe surprises or whatever. For that, given my background, I'm not so surprised. AI can do a lot of things, a lot of things. But one of the issues that I have with AI has to do with I call it ethical AI or responsible AI. Let me call it ethical AI. If I'm building, when I gave the historical background about AI, I got to 1997, I said data is given to the AI to
and it learns from it. Yes.
Okay. So ethically, the kind of data that is given to the machine is where somehow I'm worried about. So let me give one practical example. Let's say you are in the US. Then a bank is asking you to develop a model that, of course, AI model that will predict if someone is likely to default in a loan or not. So meaning that if you default in a loan, the loan will not be given to you. Then you develop this AI tool, and you need data, call it historical data. And the data is made up of attributes or dimensions. And the attributes of dimensions could include even race. Race.
Yeah.
So you can imagine building this model with race as one of the attributes, meaning that I'm giving race and other attributes to the machine to learn, so they can predict whether when someone takes the loan, the person will pay the loan back or not. If I do this, you can imagine the output. Because what it means is that if you look at the behavior and how things are happening in the US, especially with the black community,
Yeah.
if I use AI,
That single variable will just...
Exactly. So there's a possibility that you may not even give loan to a black person.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have a model that will be making that kind of prediction and taking into account the black race. So that's a problem. Because AI mostly is all about historical data. Even the ChatGPT that we see is historical data.
Yeah.
So now the issue is there's an example I've given. So if a system is built that way, meaning that it's going to be difficult for a black person to even get a loan from a bank. So imagine you have similar situation in our context. Not maybe probably a loan, but you are building system by considering certain attributes, which may go against a certain class of people, because we are using historical data, then it's going to be a problem. I don't know whether you...
Yeah, that
makes a lot of
sense.
It does make a lot of sense. It really
But
does.
otherwise, for AI, to be frank, the level that is going, like I said, I'm not surprised. We'll get to a point that a lot of things will be taken over.
Yeah.
Yeah, even at the hospital, you go to the hospital, instead of you to meet a human being, you go and meet a robot. And then you consult the robot to tell you what to do and all that.
Yeah.
So we are actually moving so fast.
And right now there are AIs that are mimicking people's voices, creating...
Exactly, yeah, deep fake and all that.
Yeah. And it's...
But sometimes I'm a bit worried about our context, especially Africa. We seem to be the users of the technology rather than creators of the technology. Now, this is the issue. I had a discussion with one professor from Harvard. There's a conference I attended, and he made mention that the way AI is coming up, it will get to a point, a country that is able to control its citizens in terms of creating technology, in terms of learning the core on how to create it, will be more powerful than other nations. So it will not be like okay, we have money. This country, they have money. They are already developed. But to get to a time, the competition will not be around who developed nuclear, whatever. It will be around which country was able to control a citizen in terms of being the creators of the technology rather than being the users of technology. And my fear, especially in Ghana here, is that we are more of the users rather than the creators.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, recently I had, discussion with a colleague. Then, we're talking about business analytics, which I said I'm a coordinator. One day he came to my class and I was programming. We're doing building some models and all that. Then I said, what is all this? Then later this lecturer did something. Then he asked ChatGPT a question. And the question that he asked has to do with ChatGPT providing codes. Codes.
Yeah.
So according to him, it gave everything to him. So what is the point that I will sit in class and be teaching? You get it? And then he said, even with that, there are a lot of tools. You can use the same tools to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So what is the point? Why don't we teach people how to use the tools? And I said, no. If you want to go this way, it means that we are going to be consumers of technology. You sit there, then they'll produce and bring it to you.
Yeah.
I can tell you else when they develop economies, they are creating them.
Yeah.
But they are controlling a section of people from just using it.
Yeah.
And they have a section of people they are still training to be creators of the technology.
Yeah.
But in our case, we are too
not.
much.
So, Prof, you did say that right now we are more users than creators.
Yes.
And AI has come to stay.
Yeah.
And looking at how our primary system is, our GHS system is, how how would you advise we introduce AI to them? Because it's still needed, or in a way that they would have to be creators and then have some level of control to it rather than they over depending on it.
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
You see, at some point, I had a chance to go through, even it's not JSS, primary or whatever, high school curriculum.
Yeah.
When I look at the high school curriculum, they said ICT, elective ICT. But you go to the elective ICT, you see QBasic, and then HTML as the only programming language. In fact, they are not programming; they are just markup languages.
Yeah.
At that level, senior high school, QBasic, even VBasic, we don't use it again. And we are teaching students QBasic at that level.
And HTML.
And HTML creating the interface. So you see the whole curriculum, the whole senior high school curriculum, especially with the ICT, has to be revamped. So we need to start right from the basic.
Yeah.
From the basic school, we should start teaching them even data.
Yeah.
And then, some, key technologies around artificial intelligence and all that. But right now, at the junior high school, I don't think there's even the content that has to do with AI.
No, I don't
That's
think
a problem.
Yes.
And whether we like it or not, AI has come to stay. Senior high school, I've already given the challenges around it. That's a problem. You do elective ICT, and you are doing QBasic. That's a problem.
Yeah.
So the whole, senior high school curriculum, especially the IT, should be revamped. Because they are doing more of secretariat courses. How to use Excel, how to use PowerPoint, how to use Word.
Yep.
Rather than you go to China and other places, students at the basic level, they are learning how to create models. They are learning how to develop robotics,
robotics.
Yeah. And we are still here learning QBasic. QBasic, which has vanished. So that's a problem.
So let's do this. If you had the power to influence what the high school curriculum for elective ICT should look like, what are some of the things you would put in there?
For instance, data literacy is very key.
Yeah.
Introduction to robotics can happen there. Yeah. Programming, introduction to programming. Students should learn how to program right from there.
Yeah.
And then you may have also a course on, let's say, data engineer. Of course, I mentioned data as well. Yeah. And then I've mentioned robotics. I've mentioned, I think basically, at that level, these courses are very key for them to get a foundation.
Okay.
Many of us, you only come to the university to learn how to program. Yeah. And it shouldn't be so.
It shouldn't be so. Because that should be in high school, and then the secretarial part should be in basic level. Even with the basic level, you should
have
learn some level of hardware.
Exactly.
Because
I did all my because my other brother happened to have his first Pentium 4 as an early age, but I was in I think primary 1 then.
Okay.
And it was an advantage to me because he was there. He is a tech savvy, so he went through the whole system with me. Even before he started using it, we tore it apart, saw how the CPU was on board, what the RAM was and how it worked.
Yeah.
He upgrading his GPU, everything. So at even that young, and I got it. So I believe at that age too, they should have people should have the privilege to
I remember I had a CD bag. That's when I started making money.
Wow.
I had a CD bag with software, and I had a guy in the area that would keep his ear on the ground. If he hears that, this person has a new machine, then I'll go offer my services, install, programs, and add funny videos and music. And I'll take my small coins. And my mom heard about it and she seized my CD bag. But she didn't know that I had backed up all the software on my hard disk. So what I started doing was, when I get a gig, I'll open your machine and slave my hard disk into it, and then I'll run the installation from it. So, and I did these things in junior high, primary school to junior high school, and I feel like if you at that age have that feeling of taking something apart and then putting it back together and figuring out how to make it work better, and say, okay, what if I put this here? If I change this setting, how would that make you feel? That feeling influences your future thoughts
and your growth and
you understand?
your passion. Even
the first website I ever built was on Microsoft Front Page. And this was in high school. So right now, when I'm doing stuff, I have the knowledge. It's because I was exposed to
So
these
it's
things,
at
and I
such an
exposed
early age too.
You understand? And it's
Yeah.
because I exposed myself to them. They were not there. The tools were not there.
Exactly.
They were not there. So if
Yeah.
you're able to make it available for the young ones starting at a very, very
young-
early
very
age, then
young
we can
age, yeah.
become the creators.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I feel like this generation should really look at putting these things in place for those that are coming up now,
Exactly.
for what it's going to be.
But you see, unfortunately, this kind of generation, I always say that everyone is on social media dancing. you know, using the technology. There's a lot. You can even TikTok. You can use TikTok to promote learning and all that.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. People
some
actually
of us,
teach on TikTok.
yes, the goal is we want to have a lot of viewership
Yeah.
Yeah.
so that we can make money. And a lot of people just want to go do anything possible so that people will come and view, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
So I think that somehow, and the way things are moving, the government can also come in here and strengthen some part, especially monitoring and then streamlining certain things
Yeah.
being done in the social media space.
Yeah.
You see a lot
Yeah.
of deep fake, just as you said,
Yeah.
people imitating people's voice.
And it's so
scanning.
annoying because back in the day it was very difficult to even code a
Yes.
deep fake. Now it's very
Now
simple.
it's
Yeah,
It just
very-
with 2 clicks.
Exactly.
You
And-
have like a deep fake. But back then it involved a lot of
Scripting and
scripting
stuff like that. Yes.
and then going into After Effects and,
Yeah.
and Photoshop and Premiere Pro and coming back to
Changing it,
scripting
yeah, and
again.
bring- oh,
it's
jeez.
You see,
it's,
yeah.
it's
And
now
now
just
it's-
2 clicks, you're good.
You take you record just 5 seconds of their
Yeah.
voice and just
Exactly.
Oh,
input
man.
it in.
Final words, Prof.
Well, so like I said, since this has to do with technology in education, what I would say is that we have gotten to a level where artificial intelligence has come to stay.
Mm-hmm.
And I also made mention that businesses cannot run without information technology.
Yeah.
If you don't have IT, you will not survive.
Yeah.
And it is now or never that the government has to step in, somehow, really look at the current curriculum, right from the basic to the university level.
Yeah.
That if there's a need for us to revamp in a way that students can acquire certain knowledge from that level. When they acquire that knowledge, it makes it easier at the university level. And also, the technology requires a lot of resources.
Yeah.
So it is high time the government also commit some kind of resources in promoting information technology.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, it will get to a point, the competition is not going to be which country has nuclear weapons.
Weapons, yeah.
It's rather going to be which country has the ability to create a
Yeah.
technology. Because once you have the ability and the skills to create, you can be powerful, just like data serving as crude oil.
Yeah.
So what I would say is that technology has come to stay. And because of competition also within the university space and then creating that kind of globalization, every institution is also doing everything possible to compete and get students to enroll in their courses. So because of that, they are leveraging technology and making courses more of blended and also pure online.
Yeah.
So as a result, we need more contextual technology to promote some of these. Instead of being the users of technology, let us create technology. So that's all I'll say for me.
Thank you
Great,
so much.
great. Thanks.
Appreciate
Thank you,
you
Prof.
so much.
Thank you, Prof.
I'm definitely going to stay in touch.
Yes.
Yes.
That would-
There's so much I would
You need
want
to come and do our analytics program.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm actually quite interested. I did
yes,
statistics, so I'm interested.
We are looking for statistics.
Yeah, so we'll speak after the program. Sir.
Yes.
Yes. please guys.
You will not regret
This
it.
this is what I'm going to say, right? We are in a time where technology is pretty much taking over everything.
Yeah.
And in the next few years, what's going to happen is the most applied jobs, or no, the most vacant jobs
Yeah.
are going to be tech related,
Yes.
Yeah.
right? And it's happening now, because, for instance, with the emergence of the popularity is not just emerging, the popularity of remote work, right?
Yeah.
People are making so much money just sitting in their rooms
Yes.
and running data analytics for companies in New York remotely, or just managing a back end or doing some UI UX front end whatever. It's remote. They're just sitting and they're making up to $200,000 a year. Right? And it's because they apply themselves. And trust me, a lot of these things are free online to find. Do you understand what I mean? A lot of these things are free resources online to find. You can get into the space. You can even take a remote job that just requires 2 or 3 hours a day, and it's tech related. So whatever field you find yourself in, just get extra knowledge in technology, because very soon the job you're doing, an AI is going to take it from you. Or a robot somewhere is going to take it from you. But how are you going to take advantage of that to make it better for yourself? Do you understand what I mean?
Yes.
Very soon you're going to have jobs as simple as a prompting engineer.
Prompting,
Because people don't know how to prompt the AI to give them exactly what they want. Very soon, people are going to go to school. There are going to be programs to teach people just how to prompt. And their job is just to sit down to prompt. Why don't you take advantage of that now? So just apply yourself. Take the route some of us used. Teach yourself. If there are certain simple courses that cost $9, $10, $11 online, that you can't get on that resource free online, just Coursera, take that course. You understand? There's Skillshare, there's Coursera. You know, you understand? So many platforms. This is very, very important, and that is why we have a show like this, Enabled by Tech, to get people like us and our esteemed guests who have gone through the system, understand how it works, to let you guys know that you can also do it. You can also take your love for tech. Do you understand? And it's not social media. No. Understand the fact that you are you understand social media doesn't mean you understand how to use it properly. Teach yourself, learn, find a mentor, learn from them, ask questions, and be great at it. Thank you so much for joining us, Prof.
Can I add?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I made mention that we are running a MSc Business Analytics, and luckily we have this collaboration with Google.
Okay.
So even though you go through the program with Google, we have made it possible for our students to subscribe to certification on Google free.
Right.
So you can take a cloud, whatever. You take it, then you get a certificate.
Right.
And then we try as much as possible to also get internship position for our students. And I can assure you, the program, even though it's business analytics, but it's data science.
Yes.
We actually gave it a name, business analytics, politically and strategically. I don't want to go into the politics.
We get it.
Personally, I also run an IT company, so I have a software development company.
Yes.
Which we are into software development products. Currently, we are even the one, building the pharmacy council infrastructure and all that.
That's nice. Okay,
so that's all.
Congratulations.
Information about
everything.
the company.
Yes, please. Information how people can reach out.
I mean, it's online. First Try Digital Solutions. Like I said, we are into software development, data analytics, whether it's mobile, web, and then First Try Digital Solutions.
All right.
So it's online.
Great. And are you open to people reaching out to you on social media if they have like tech-related questions, maybe on X, so you can give your social media platforms out?
Even though I'm a very busy person. But I'm an adjunct also professor in several institutions, Finland, Malawi, Namibia. I give lectures there. In fact, this even comes to the use of technology. I sit here and give lectures
in all these countries. Wow.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Prof.
You're welcome.
Really, really, really appreciate you. You didn't your social media handles. You didn't give that out.
Oh, I have Emmanuel Awuni.
Okay, so
Emmanuel.
My cousin is Emmanuel Awuni.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
I
have a cousin called Emmanuel Awuni.
Emmanuel Awuni.
Yeah. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Please ask us all the questions you're curious about. We'll try as much as we can to give you all the solutions you're curious about. My name is Tia, here with the man
Bernard.
Appreciate you guys. Please subscribe on wherever you're listening to this podcast on, from YouTube to Apple Podcasts to Spotify Podcasts or wherever it is you're listening to. Appreciate you every week. Catch us same time next week. Stay safe.